Kiduland sponsors these podcasts. Nicknamed the Little English School in Sophia Antipolis, they run activities in English for 0 to 16-year-olds in term time and in the holidays. Try dance on Wednesdays for 3 to 4-year-olds or computer programming for 8 to 12-year-olds in the holidays. It's all in English. And there is an amazing summer program as part of Adeland where us teens can learn valuable skills and get to know the community. We will also be going on fun outings like sailing and to Salto. That was my idea. Check it out at www.kiduland.com. Welcome to the Riviera Firefly podcast with your host, entrepreneur, and my mum, Antonia Bozan-Brown.
Riviera Firefly podcast continues with its community series. You can go back and find our previous episodes on rivierafirefly.com/14 for Al Roberts from the Blah Blahs about a music event, Un Max de Bruit, in May, raising money for autism, and /15 for the episode where Julie Helen shares why and how she set up Kenyan Kids. So in this episode 16, I'm joined by two of the Mimosa Matters committee members, Ellie Goblet and Karen Hockney. Now, Mimosa Matters is a fundraising organisation with a difference. It's a team of 9 incredible women here in the south of France who are dedicated to raising funds that then flow into existing established cancer charities. So that's a really unique concept, and it's having a direct impact, a positive impact for us here on the Côte d'Azur. This is about their personal journey. What led them to take up the fight against the big C? And these are real-life superwomen armed with big capes who are turning a negative into a positive. And they need you, because all help, big and small, is most welcome. And this is a really great way for you to get to know the wider community here on the Côte d'Azur. They're doing fun, amazing things like the Mimosa Ball and the cocktail events. They do a Nice to Cannes marathon, and they're ready to hear your ideas for smaller events throughout the year. Let's make 2017 different. Let's beat cancer. The committee are all ladies, many of them are mums, and many work like Karen, who's a freelance journalist for the UK national newspapers and magazines. She has got an incredible A-list of people that she's interviewed. So we do also get to talk a little bit about Danny Devito, Helen, Mirren, and Elle Macpherson. These are some of the people that she has met through her work. And she's also going to share with us an incredible story that she's just co-written with Callie Blackwell. It's her second book. It's The Boy in 7 Billion. And I can't wait to find out more. Hi, girls.
Hello.
So you're here from Mimosa Matters. And I'm really, really thrilled because we've just had Al Roberts come and talk about an event that was raising money for autism. We had Julie Helen come and talk to us about Kenyan Kids. So it kind of seems really fitting that you've come along straight away after. And I got to say, I feel a little bit weird because Karen, you are known to be the interviewer of the Côte d'Azur, and it's really weird to have you on the other side of the fence.
It's weird for me too, Antonia. It's quite nice. Poacher turned gamekeeper.
Let's throw our memory back a little bit back to when we were young. Probably back in England for both of you. Ellie, where did you grow up? And
I grew up on the south coast near Brighton in Eastbourne, which a lot of people sort of associate with retired people. But actually it's a fabulous place to live because you've got the beach there, you've got the South Downs, and me and my brothers just used to sort of, well, it was in that era of sort of the early and mid 80s where everyone, you know, you could run around. And, you know, we used to go den making and go on the beach all day, and it's a great place to be brought up.
Like an Enid Blyton setting,
well, it was really, yes. And I think we did have that sort of childhood, and we used to go up to Shropshire to see my grandmother, and it was all about den making, camping on the hillsides, generally annoying each other quite a bit. And, you know, you've just got to do it, and it was super.
Karen, what about you?
I grew up in London, North London specifically. Lived there all my childhood. Lots of trips around and about. We used to spend a lot of time in Cornwall. My dad used to dive, so we would often be on the coast somewhere for weekends here and there through the year. But yes, I had a city upbringing, so
very different from Ellie's then.
Yeah, couldn't be more different, in fact. So yes, my youth was spent at Camden Market and going to gigs and. It was really enjoyable, actually.
And really streetwise, I think, if you go up in the city.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I mean, you kind of learn as you go along. So tube travel and buses and all that jazz, and shopping in Oxford Street, dare I say, from the age of about 11 or so, 12, I'm sure. Perhaps people wouldn't be quite as free now with their kids, but yes, as Ellie said, I had a huge amount of freedom growing up, and my brother and I were just pretty much, just allowed to kind of go off and explore and do things, and it was brilliant, really, really good fun.
And Ellie, what made you come to the south of France then?
My husband's job. I think, like with so many people, he's not in the yachting industry, but he, because he's Belgian, he obviously speaks French fluently, and his company asked him if he would like to come down here, and if I would be willing, and we decided that it would be a great move, and so we came down here when my eldest daughter was 3 months old.
Wow. That was quite a move.
So that was quite a move. I just finished work, or been on maternity leave for my work at a public relations agency in London, and then we just upped sticks and left and moved down here, and that was about 6 years ago.
And we all live in Basteloo, actually, don't we? Because it's the most happening place to live.
It is.
Which is where we were
Best of both
is.
worlds.
What about you, Karen? What made you come over?
We came down on holiday in 2003. Our daughters were quite young then. Izzy was 4 and Liv was 8. And we just fell in love with the area, the Côte d'Azur in general. And we'd been thinking about buying a holiday home for a little while, and we started actively looking down here. So we found a place on the coast in Mandelieu, La Napoule, and we had a beautiful apartment there for some years, which we spent lots of time at, to the point where we actually never wanted to go home. The girls and my husband and I would be kind of like, can't we stay a bit longer? Let's just try and spin it out. And that kind of translated a few years later into why not actually come down and live here, because we both run our own businesses. So we were very lucky in that we had the opportunity and the wherewithal to be able to do that and not have to be in the job market. So yes, in 2008, June 2008, we moved down here with our 2 little cats and a crate in the back of the car and our dog, and we've never really looked back.
It's funny when you do that, isn't it? Like, for all, you kind of get on that plane or in that car, and you sort of, now when you sort of 10 years on look back, and you sort of think, gosh,
well, it seems like the biggest move, doesn't
it?
But then you come down here and you realise that it's the best move you could have ever made.
Yeah,
so it just makes sense, and the community here and just everything that's happening, and well, the stunning scenery, you just can't fault it, can you?
What was your work background before you came over, Ellie?
PR.
Okay.
So public relations in London. I worked for a leading full-service PR agency in Kensington, and was very lucky to work for some of the best brands sort of across the luxury and mass market, probably some of the best brands in the world, actually. And I left after 8 years with them, having done about 11 or 12 years in London altogether. So, London's still in me. I absolutely adore it. Loved working for this agency, very un-PR-like. None of that backstabbing sort of absolutely fabulous style stuff. But you got the best out of it, actually. And I loved it. But, when it's time to move on, it's time to move on. And I'm lucky that in what I do now, I'm able to sort of use some of that, dare I say, expertise.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think.
Yes. Yeah. It all helps, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Stepping stones to the future.
Yeah.
And Karen, so you're a published author of not 1, but 2 books now. This is like breaking news. I feel like I've got a scoop here.
You have the Riviera scoop.
It's amazing timing, yes.
So tell us about the most recent book that that's just literally just coming out right now.
Yep, the most recent book, The Boy in 7 Billion, is published by Mirren Books, and it will be on sale on April the 6th. It's actually available for pre-order at the moment. In the last 24 hours since we started our press campaign, we've had a serialisation in the Mail on Sunday yesterday, an interview in the Mirror today, an appearance on This Morning with Holly and Phil, coverage in the Metro, the Sun, and various other newspapers too today.
It's fantastic.
So it's really...
That's my first fantastic of the day. I'm not allowed another one.
You're allowed that one. So yes, I would say it's fantastic. It's what we really hoped for. It's a very poignant and personal tale to my co-author, Callie Blackwell, whose son Darren was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia when he was 10 years of age. He underwent some very serious therapies, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, lots and lots of procedures and interventions. And then a few years after that, he was diagnosed with Langerhans cell sarcoma, which is an incredibly rare form of cancer that I think around 5 people in the world currently have. So very, very little is known about it. So his medical team were completely in the dark about how to treat it. It was all very much kind of, let's try this, let's try that and see what happens. And they went down that medical route, conventional medical route with hospitals in the UK. I don't want to tell the whole story in 3 sentences, but suffice to say they also looked at alternative therapies when Darren's pain became very, very unbearable. And he was terminally ill. He wasn't due to survive this. His immune system was shot to pieces, and he'd had 4 failed bone marrow transplants by the age of 14. So it was absolutely crucial that Callie looked at all the other options. And she did lots of research, and one of the things that kept coming back to knock on the door really was cannabis and the use of medicinal cannabis in cancer, in palliative care as well. Not so much a cure, because we're not saying that cannabis cures cancer at all, but notwithstanding that, the results that they had have been nothing short of miraculous and remarkable. Very, very difficult to argue with. So call it what you like, but whatever way you look at it, it's a miracle, and it's a story that was absolutely worth telling. And when I heard about the story a couple of years ago, I got in contact with Callie and asked if she'd like to do a book on it, and she jumped at the chance because she felt she wanted to write a book for some time but hadn't known how to go about it. So we teamed up and became buddies.
And you did it over Skype lots,
We did it over Skype, we did it over email. At the time she was living in Hungary and I was in Cote d'Azur. So on the back of literally one meeting in Norfolk, where her family come from, we started on the book, and just, from our little corners of the world, we kept in touch week by week and worked on the material, and found an amazing publisher who've been nothing but
it's a topic that's getting lots of conversation, isn't it? Because even just from today, looking on the Daily Mail comments, there were like tons and tons of them. It was incredible.
Our one big hope with this was that we would be able to open the debate on using alternative treatments.
One doctor, I don't know if he's a real doctor, but he said he was a UK GP, said that cannabis can't officially be researched because it's been sort of classified as a narcotic, and so therefore they can't properly that's a real catch-22. It's awful.
It really is. And I think also that that the pharmaceutical giants maybe feel it's perhaps not in their best interest because they have so many therapies that go on that are very expensive to give and to supply to patients, but they're obviously making a huge amount of money. So I'm not sure that there has been much of an incentive before to actually take this further, and what we're now hoping is that they won't be able to ignore the impact that the cannabis oil and cannabis tincture has on critical illness, including cancer. I mean, it's used for lots of other things too. But I think that the climate's right for that discussion now. It may not have been the right time a year or two ago, but it feels with all the legislation that's happening in the US.
Yeah, because is it California that now?
California, it's legal, and Colorado. There are various states who
the tables are really turning, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Do you know, when I was 18 years old, which is a long time ago, I remember reading an article in The Economist back then saying that it was it was an article on for legalising cannabis. Just so many pros, even back then.
It's been around for a long time, this train of thought, but I think people have been sort of frightened to take it too far, or it's just been dissed by the powers that be. And so it takes a very strong, voice, I think, to carry it through. I mean, I lost my father to cancer, very, very rare form of cancer, 22 years ago this year. And if I'd known then what I know now, I would have absolutely insisted on him trying it, and who knows where we would be. So it's a very personal thing for me, having been through my own cancer battle too, with breast cancer 6 years ago. I just feel that everybody should be aware of it. It may not be for everybody. Some people may feel very strongly about not wanting to use it, and that's their prerogative. But everybody has the right to know about what it can achieve.
It's so difficult.
Agreed, yeah.
I know my dad is a lawyer, and he would never try it for that very reason. It's illegal. So you know,
I suspect that's the case for many people.
So
and
it's something that does need to
generationally.
keep being discussed, so that it could, if it is a viable option, it could be opened up to people that need it, for sure.
We're asking really just for more research, more clinical trials. We're not saying go out there and legalise it overnight. I mean, well, I'd like to say that, but I understand that we have to back our sort of beliefs up with hard scientific evidence, and we're all for that. So that's where we are. If we can see some really good, strong, widespread clinical trials taking place.
But what people are also taking in that situation is medicinal cannabis, aren't they? So it's vastly different.
Yes, it's
different
not smoking
to
a spliff.
recreational cannabis. So people have really got to sort of. It's a serious thing. It's to help medically. It's not to just go and have a bit of a laugh with. So it's and I think like Karen as well with my brother. I think he was just on the cusp of being able to get cannabis and help himself 2-3 years ago. But it still wasn't widely available. You still didn't really know what the benefits were, except that it was just starting to come through what was happening. What it could do. Whereas if you kind of put these stories together and keep it mounting, stories like Callie and her son, and just keep this, the conversation rolling, something eventually will
rather than
happen.
something that's happening in a back room and
Exactly.
getting it out there.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned there, Ellie, about your brother. That was kind of the precursor to Mimosa Matters, wasn't it?
It was. He was really the trigger because he was 34, young, extremely fit. And just out of the blue, he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, which is very rare in anyone really under 50, let alone under 40. So it came as a huge shock. And a couple of friends and I were sitting around, my kitchen table one morning. And a couple of days later, an email came through from one of these friends. And she just said, I think we should do a fundraiser. And it was about the time that a lot of our friends... or some of our friends like Karen and some other friends who had recently beat cancer, a lot of people's, their grandmothers, mothers, sons, daughters, lots of people had stories of people they knew and loved being affected by cancer. And it just seems to be at the moment that, that there's so many of us that have been touched by it, and there's very few of us that haven't these days. And so we just decided to hold a Mimosa Ball in the hope that we would raise some money.
So this was how many of you got together to sort of say...
It was 6 originally.
Okay.
And we became 8.
6 ladies.
6 ladies on the
Cote
Riviera.
Yeah.
All from different, well, actually most of us at the time were English. And then since then, there's Swedish, Romanian, there's all different, from all over Europe. And it's amazing because we've all come into this with different attributes. So there's one of us, that's had a huge marketing background, another one with PR, there's a lawyer, there's an accountant, there's chefs from the private yachting industry, event organisers. So really within the 8 of us...
It's a perfect business, really, isn't it?
It actually is, and run by women, dare we say. But it's amazing because it really has taken off. And the first ball, I think we raised about... How much did we raise? 34,000 euros?
That's amazing.
Which is amazing, and down here it's amazing. In England, it's not a lot, but then the English charitable model is eons ahead of what it is in France. So that first ball, and we had such amazing feedback from that we just thought, right, well, why don't we sort of make this into something more regular? And so far we've had 2 balls, a cocktail on the beach in Cannes, teams of runners in 2 marathons, the Nice to Cannes marathon, and lots of other satellite events like the quiz that happens up at the castle here, our clothes sales.
I didn't win that, I was gutted.
Yes, it's a good quiz.
And you do clothing sales, did you say?
We do clothing sales. We've got one coming up on the 4th of April, and that's at Le Provençal Golf Club.
So what happens in that?
Well, it's lightly worn clothes that people would like to donate. and it's mostly been for women, so they can come along. It's very low prices. This year we're doing women's and children, and you come along, there's coffee, there's lovely cupcakes or biscuits and things, and actually we set it up like a shop, and the past two, I think we've raised about €1,000 each time.
It's amazing.
And people are really welcoming it because, you know, you get a whole variety of different clothes, different sizes, and you can just come along and try things on, and it's all very genial, and it's all for charity, so it just makes sense.
And when's the ball this year?
The ball this year is on the 13th of May at the Royal Mougins Golf Club again, in association with Yachting Partners International, YPI. And we're very excited about that because YPI, as a lot of people know, are one of the most renowned yacht brokers down here on the coast and worldwide. And they're based in Monaco, and they're supporting us. And we're thrilled to have that sense of, you know, a business from this area and community.
And
exactly.
give you a bit of exposure.
Big exposure, and it's really making a huge difference, and we're really thrilled to be working with them. And it's really becoming part of the community. You know, lots of people want to help us, and various businesses. We've had this amazing guy who is just been incredible with us, from Pure Design International, who's run our website, who's designed our website, our flyers, our leaflets, and absolutely everything. And he supported us from the very beginning, often free of charge, just because he really believes in what we're doing. And, you know, we absolutely, I think that's what we really set out to do, was for this to be part of a community. It was never about the small group of 8 women having a few lunches and a bit of this. It was all about, let's see what we can do. How can we bring in people? How can we make them feel part of it? And people have run with it, like the quiz. That's been set up and organised by a dear friend of ours, Fiona McLeod. And she's run with that. She wants to do it each year. This is, you know, her forte, and it's gone brilliantly.
Yeah. She's a great quizmaster, isn't
she is a hugely brilliant quizmaster.
So, how much have you raised kind of in total, would you say, since 2013?
In total, nearing or just over €140,000.
Wow.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
It really is impressive.
Yeah, and last year we did... we had 170 runners running for us for the Mimosa team, and it actually turned out we were one of the top 10 biggest teams on the Riviera for the Nice Cannes Marathon. And that's incredible because a lot of people have come up to us and said, look, I'd never normally do this run. It's really not something that I like doing, but I believe in what you're doing. A friend of mine's had cancer or something. And lots of people with cancer have run for us as well. And they just
people were doing it in stages, weren't they? So you didn't have to do the whole thing.
Absolutely not. You can do it by legs.
You could manage.
And they said, you know, I've never even run a kilometre before, but I'll do 5 kilometres.
Wow.
And if I have to walk it, I will do it. And then we have a great after party, which we've held always in Cannes at Nolan's Irish pub there, and they've been huge supporters both times. They shut off the street for us last year, and we had Blah Blah playing for us, and it turned into a street party with people walking around going, you know, what's happening here? There were yellow flags flying from Mimosa. And as I said, community. So many people have come forward and wanted to support us.
So you are looking for more people to get involved and to come up with ideas and to fundraise and to...
Yeah, I think really to kind of take it like the English charitable model works in the UK, that you decide what charity you want to do something for. They send you a fundraising pack, and you can decide to hold a tea or a run or whatever it might be. And so I think what we're saying to everyone here is really come to us with ideas. You run with that idea. We will support you in any way we can and raise money for our association that we can then give to the charities that we decide on. So really it's, and you know, always looking for people to help us on various events because they're just getting bigger and bigger.
So it's a great way for someone that's maybe just arrived here who doesn't know many people and maybe isn't working to kind of get involved and...
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, you know, we're always welcome to sort of, you know, bring more people on, you know, have people run with ideas. And I think, yes, if you come down here and you don't know many people, I think automatically you've got a ready-made group. Yeah. And from that, you know, everything just spins off from that. And you get to meet so many people. And you realise actually that it is a big community, but it's a small community as well.
So, Karen, what happens with the money? So what's been happening with it all? It all comes in. Where does it go?
It's well, this year it's going. It's traditionally one of the partners has been La Ligue contre le Cancer, one of the principal partners, and it's funded the Espace League in Antibes, the centre of Antibes, which is an amazing centre which supports the local community in a brilliantly integrative way.
I saw something about Disney trips to Disney or something for the kids.
Disneyland trips, haven't there? With,
that was through
children and their parents.
That was the paediatric oncology unit at l'Archer Hospital. So we donated a certain amount to them last year, and it's basically allowing children to have entertainment during the summer. So when lots of other children are out on beaches and playing around, and they can't because of their treatment, they can have entertainment in the units, which is really
So you're really trying
amazing.
to partner with the existing cancer charities that are here.
Well, and then this year I was going to add that Cancer Support Group 06 is the new partner for Mimosa. They do an amazing job on the front line of cancer care with patients and families who are suffering. They hold hands at bedsides at very difficult points in an illness. They help to translate for meetings and rendezvous and hospital appointments. They'll help with legalities if you need, documentation and so forth, all sorts of things, in a really big, general, well-rounded fashion. And they support principally the Anglophone community. I think it's, very difficult, speaking from experience with my diagnosis in 2011. Cancer Support 06 was quite young. It, I think, had only been set up in 2009. And I came down here and had all my treatment here, didn't think to go back to the UK to have my treatment because I knew that France was absolutely at the forefront of cancer treatment and cancer care. Having said that, it was quite a lonely experience at times because I had to become very quickly astute at medical French terms, and you do worry when you're in a rendezvous with your surgeon or oncologist that you're actually understanding correctly if they don't speak a word of English. So there's that pressure. And yes, I think any organisation that can actually make people feel less alone at what's a very, very lonely time. A cancer diagnosis is a very lonely time, no matter who you are or where you are, in fact. So it will be amazing to support this year such a fantastic group that, again, is, the oncology nurse who helped to set up that group was my chemo nurse. Sue Stroberg. She is absolutely phenomenal, and she helped to keep me sane during my chemo. And I remember we used to talk about running because she competes in Ironman tournaments and things, and she knows that I'm a runner and that I'd run marathons. And I'd tell her sometimes during my chemo about having done a 5k run that morning before I came in, and she said, no matter what I achieve in my Ironman tournaments, you are really doing this, and you are so impressive. And so yes, hearing that from somebody who knows what you're going through is very important. So I think any kind of support that she's indicative of that group, that they do go the extra mile. She's working with cancer patients on a daily basis, and she still turns up for the meetings, which are purely voluntary, to try and help a little bit more.
Great. Well, what I will do is get all the web links that you've just mentioned and put them in the show notes. Now, if people don't know what show notes are, on the podcast app, you see a picture, and this week it's going to be your girls, the photo of you guys. And if people click on that from their app, then they'll see all the detail of the show notes, and it will have all the web links.
Brilliant. Perfect.
So if someone wants to get involved in fundraising and has got a brilliant idea, so in England there's people have like tea parties at home, and they make cupcakes and they invite all their friends around, and everyone chips in and puts money in, and then they just send that off to the charities. Those kind of things, big, small, it could be
anything.
Marathons, the Iron Man.
Yeah,
they can all be in your name.
Exactly, they can all be in our name. And really, what Mimosa Matters is that we are a fully fledged association now, as of I think a month ago, which is highly exciting. But we are not the experts on cancer, and we're not going to go down that route either. So what we do want to do is always partner with people that we can support. So that's where CSG 06 comes in. La Ligue contre le Cancer, because they are the #1 charitable association for cancer in France. So always making sure that we are delivering money to the bodies that really need us and can look after through the Espace League in Nice and Antibes, or directly funding help and support directly to the patients, which is, as Karen explained, for CSGO6, or directly to the children in a paediatric unit. So it will always be, we are a non-profit making association, and absolutely all the money will go to good causes to do with cancer and any cancer. And I think later this year, what we'd really like to do, one of our aims, is to team up with La Ligue contre le Cancer and create a preventative campaign, whether regionally or nationally, to do with the lesser known cancers that I think, because more people are more unaware of them, I think they do tend to be sort of more vicious in their just general being. So we really want to help create that, to make people more aware.
Wow, it's really powerful, and I just can't believe that you guys have just,
No, I can't either.
Yeah, but where you've got to and how much you've raised.
It is quite incredible. I think we sometimes pinch ourselves because we've done it and we put a lot of work into it. We're all working. We're all mothers working, and we've given a lot of time to it. But we've also done it with the support of everyone around us, with the businesses that have supported us, with people who have attended our events. So it's not without that help and support. It all comes back down to that community again.
And so it's strange because it is, you mentioned earlier, it is harder to fundraise in France. They kind of have their telethon. Mm. And then there's not that much outside of that, not in the same way as in...
Not nearly in the same
Britain
way.
And stuff.
And it's very difficult, because when we first went to La Ligue contre le Cancer to say, we're a group of women and we want to fundraise for you, they really could not believe it, because it had never really been done before. They don't do the charity auction events or dinner dances or anything like that. So it's an untouched area here. But I mean, especially maybe sort of this area here and smaller areas. I think, Monaco maybe is different, Paris is different, but generally speaking, that is the rule of thumb. And I think we're really glad that, obviously it's very much part of the international community, what we're doing here, but it's really starting to spread into the French community too. And I think that's where we want to take it even further, so they can see. And that's the original idea, that we lived here, so we wanted to donate the money to bodies down here and not just send it back.
Brilliant. So, what are the prizes at the Mimosa? What kind of things have you got coming up that people are going to be bidding? And is it like a silent auction, or is it?
There's going to be a raffle. There's going to be a silent auction. There's going to be an auction. Karen has just so generously given us a copy of her book, The Boy in 7 Billion, along with Faye Villalba, who also lives in the area, superb yoga instructor, and Kate Threadgold, who's, again, just the most beautiful masseur. Everyone should go and see her. And we've got, various prizes, dinners, lunches at various beach clubs, restaurants, silent auction. And then for the auction, we've got some super prizes. We've got a trip to Bali. Rink Travel has donated 2 return flights, and 2 hotels in Bali. The Hotel Tugu in Canggu on the coast, beautiful, luxurious hotel. They've donated some nights there. And the Pramana Hotel, which is in Ubud, and I didn't know it was the spiritual centre of Bali.
Ubud is, yes.
So they've donated some nights there as well. So really that's going to be a fabulous prize. We've got a private dinner you can have in your own home with a top chef coming in.
Oh, wow.
Sommelier. Food donated by Ocean Pantry, which again is one of the small businesses down here that supplies to the super yachts. And the list just goes on and on. So we've got some really fantastic prizes.
So I know that there's not many tickets left for the Mimosa Ball itself. There still are some. If people want to, where do they go to find out?
You can email us, info@mimosamatters.org, or you can call one of us. Go onto the website, which is www.mimosamatters.org, and all the information is there on how to, if you'd like to donate. If you're not able to make it, if you would like to make it in like a ticket, then just speak to us. But as you said, Antonia, tickets are going quickly. So do call us and we will try and work something out.
And are you going to have more regular? So this is your one annual thing. Will you have another event, do you think? Is that the idea, to sort of build up to more?
I would like to build up to more, but it's just also a case of, I think, our own abilities in terms of
it's a lot of work.
Time, yeah. And I think at the moment we've got the marathon, which takes up a huge amount of time. And actually we're just about to launch marathon recruitment. It's on the 5th of November this year, Sunday the 5th of November. So we're going to be opening that soon. And that takes a huge amount in the ball. And then we run the smaller closed sales and the quizzes. And I think what we'd always like to do is to be known for doing events very well. And having real integrity and making them massively professional and not rushed. But having said that, if we were to grow, it's not beyond us doing other events or also changing it up. You know, we might not have a ball every year. It might be something else, and just doing things a bit differently. So watch this space.
Well, I wish you lots of luck with that, and I really hope that people listening, that there'll be some people that, sign nice big cheques with lots of zeros on the end.
Here's hoping.
and come and get involved, because that's the thing, is you need momentum and new ideas to kind of keep things going.
All the time.
Karen, best of luck with your book.
Thank you.
Are you a big book reader yourself?
I am, yes.
What's a book that you could share with us? Have you got any ideas or a recent one that you've read that you would...
Yes, I have a recent one that just blew me away. It's called The Art of Hearing Heartbeats. He is a brilliant, brilliant writer. You can Google it and find it quite easily. And it's just a beautifully written book set in Burma and New York to a smaller extent, about love.
Oh, lovely.
So, yeah, what can I say?
Where would you take that to go and read on the Cote d'Azur? Where's your kind of hangout place?
Well, I've got a few. I went to Port Grimaud last year for the first time last summer. We spent a couple of weeks there. And I really loved it. And it was July. So
it's a really unusual place, isn't it?
Yeah, very unusual, very individual. The architecture is quite something too. You're right by the water, and it's just not too busy. We had the beach to ourselves, and this was mid-July. We cycled, we hung out, we got on boats, and it was just really lovely. So I'd be quite happy to sit with a great book, just watching the life on all the little canals there. Yeah.
I'm getting a nice long list of books to read for the summer. What about you, Ellie?
Can I mention 2 books?
Yeah.
One of them is called In the Shadow of Crows by David Charles Manners, and I read it a few years ago, primarily because we knew the author, and it's his extraordinary life between India and England, and his family that came from India. And he's basically been on to do quite a few things, but he basically set up a charity for the unwanted people in India, mainly lepers. And so that's out in sort of deepest India, and it's just a story of his life, and it was really quite inspiring. And the other one actually is by our very own Karen Hockney, Breathing Out, which really helped me, actually. I read it when I went over to go and see my brother, one of the times I went to see him in Florida where he lived, and it really helped me to understand his side of what he was going through, because you've often got that massive, you don't quite know what they're going through. You can see it from your point of view because you are the brother or sister or mother or father or friend, but you can never quite understand it, and it's hard for them to talk about it. And my brother, who was very much confident that he would survive and get through this, he never even, he never really touched on the fact that he wouldn't. And Breathing Out really helped me to not push, to not ask too many questions, to just leave him be if he wasn't in the right mood. And that's remained very close to my heart, so a special one.
Brilliant. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that one, because I was going to quiz you about that anyway. Who's been one of the top people that you've had to interview?
Oh my goodness, now that is a question. One of my very, very favourite people was Danny Devito, because he was just everything that you want him to be. Just a really jolly, lovely guy. And we were in LA, and I had my sort of 15 minutes or whatever allotted to me, which is actually quite generous in LA terms these days. And he refused to stop talking and just told the poor runner to go away politely, and said, this girl has just come all the way from the UK, and, you know, she's only had 15 minutes, so, you know, leave us alone. So I got about an hour with him, in fact, one-to-one, and he was just an absolute blast. So, yes, I loved him. I really liked Helen Mirren. I love her as an actress as well, and she was funny, witty, everything you
want in a woman.
You hope someone like that will be, because sometimes I've interviewed quite a few people who do have clay feet and who you do think, oh, they're so good on screen and so disappointing in real life. Yeah. So obviously we'll keep those ones nameless.
Yeah. And Elle Macpherson, obviously, she knows all about your cancer journey, and you work quite closely with her as well.
Elle and I have become sort of, friends, I guess, really, over the last 6 years or so. I first met her in 2010 in Malaysia. She was doing Britain's Next Top Model, and I was there to do interviews on the set. And we just really hit it off, actually. And I kept sort of, visiting her on set and so forth at various beautiful parts of the world every year for the series. And then just after my treatment finished in April 2012, I was sent to Toronto to do yet another interview with her. And at that time I was wearing a wig, I had no hair, had no eyebrows either or eyelashes, and there I went to meet one of the most beautiful supermodels in the world. You can imagine how I felt. Yeah. Slightly intimidated by, looking not my best. And she had no idea what had been going on in my life, obviously. And we did the interview, and that was that. And then the following year, I saw her in Barbados, and my own hair had started to grow back, and I had like an Annie Lennox peroxide crop at that point. And she commented on my hair and said, oh my God, you've changed your hair again. We did the interview, and then we were having lunch together once the interview had finished. And she mentioned something about health, and I said, I'd be really interested to hear what health projects you've got lined up, as I've had a few health issues. And she asked me about my health issues, and so we ended up having a very long conversation about what I'd been through, and she was just so interested and amazed. And what I didn't know at the time was that she'd been through her own breast cancer scare, which fortunately didn't become any more than a scare, but she knew where I was coming from in the fear side of things. We've done a lot together since, in terms of interviews. She's a great supporter. She endorsed my first book, Breathing Out, very sweetly, and she ended up seeing my nutritionist, Simon Laubscher, on my recommendation, and they went on to develop the Super Elixir together, which is a green supplement that has so many amazing ingredients that, will just kind of, keep you bubbling along and give you optimum energy and so forth. So she's very big in the wellness empire now, and we've been fortunate enough to work together quite a few times. So Elle would be another one of my favourite interviewers.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I do appreciate that. And so Breathing Out, so it's available on Amazon. I checked that earlier. Yes. And The Boy in 7 Billion with Callie Blackwell as well. Guys, that's been... You guys are an inspiration. You really are. You're doing this amazing thing, and it's only going to get bigger, which is what's so fantastic. Yeah. I know you're rushing off to other press releases and things now, so thank you for giving me more than the 15 minutes.
You're very, very welcome.
And I'll share all the links in the show notes.
Thank you so much, Antonia.
Thank you, Antonia.
This episode was brought to you by Riviera Firefly for Cote as You Live In by your host and my mum, Antonia Beauvoisin-Brown. Please subscribe, like and share. Until the next time, au revoir les Fireflies.